This is the Sony 24-105mm f4 G OSS lens. For this video, we're going to have a look at this lens, which was originally released in 2017. If you're one of the people like me who just got or is planning to get this lens in 2024, then this video is for you. I am reviewing this from an event photographer perspective and will conclude at the end why I think this could be the perfect lens for that purpose, despite its age and some new models coming each year. As you can see, it's big and comes with this high quality lens pouch. Right off the bat, the lens looks really beautiful. It weighs about 663 grams and is 113mm in length. Well, the lens feels very solid and premium. It comes with these two switches, one for the optical steady shot or stabilization, and one for auto or manual focus. Plus, this programmable focus hold button that you can customize from your camera settings. Switching from 24 to 105mm extends the lens barrel for about 2 more inches. It is designed for a full-frame camera with a 23 to 84 degrees angle of view and a 15 to 61 degrees on APS-C bodies. That is about 36 to 157.5mm. I'll compare this later with some other brands. Most of Sony lenses have the zoom ring at the bottom or in the middle and the focus ring at the top. This lens uses a 77mm filter thread size. It has 9 aperture blades and 14 lens group in 17 elements. Its maximum aperture of f4 goes up to f22. This 24-105 lens is a combination of high-quality plastics and metals. While mostly looks metal, it is also dust and moisture resistant and has this rear rubber gasket for full protection when mounted on the camera body. To further eliminate unwanted flares and improve contrast and image quality, it comes with this petal-shaped lens hood. I don't actually use lens hood for my other lens most of the time, but it's still handy on some weather conditions. Well, most people consider this as a kit lens because Sony sometimes bundles it with their newer cameras. It's not cheap though. Buying it separately still costs around $1,300 US. This is actually my first Sony G lens. If you're following this channel, you might have seen that I also reviewed some Sony-sized lenses, Tamron, and Samyang. So event photography involves a lot of people, be it a wedding, birthday, baptism, or anything like that. I'm speaking this from my experience. You can easily get away with fast apertures like f1.8 or f2.8 on a 1 or 2 person as long as they're standing on the same line. Most of the time, they are not. One of them will be slightly at the front or at the back. Since f1.8 or even f2.8 has a very shallow depth of field, one of them will be blurry. And for this, f4 is the safest starting bet. Then imagine having more people in the frame. You even have to step down to f8 or even f11 to get everyone on focus. I am also not bothered if it's an f4 lens. 100% of the time on paid sessions, I always comes to event equipped with speed light. On some other random shots, using available natural lights like windows helps a lot with exposure. The tip here is if you're shooting static objects, the built-in OSS really helps shooting handheld even at 1/10 of a second. Moving subjects indoors might be a bit tricky, but up to you if you want to be creative. I've been using and testing this lens for a month now. I can say that the sharpness and contrast is excellent. Of course, it's not a super duper sharp like prime lens, but for this lens with multiple moving glasses, it's actually very good. The bokeh is also excellent, especially at 105mm. I wouldn't of course compare this with the bokeh of my Samyang 135mm f1.8 because they are two different lenses designed for different purposes. Surely there are some lenses that are sharp from corner to corner at its widest aperture, but that only applies if you're shooting a flat subject, like a wall or a painting. This is true with landscape photography because there are several foreground and background elements to consider. Hence, photographers normally step down to f8 to even f16 or do a photo stacking technique. So I had this camera on 17 to 28mm with a constant f2.8 aperture. It's only 420 grams compared to 663 from Sony. This Tamron lens is so good. It's one of my most used lenses in ultra-wide landscapes in astrophotography. The only thing I notice here is that the focus ring is at the bottom and the zoom ring on top. It also has internal zooming. That's the opposite of the Sony. As mentioned, the lens barrel extends outside. Here's another look at the size difference side by side. Comparing with another lens, like this from Samyang 135mm f1.8 AF. This is a much bigger lens and is more than 100 grams heavier than the Sony. Out of all the primes that I've used before, this is the one that stayed in my bag. It is insanely sharp with dreamy bokeh for creative shots. I have separate videos about this on my channel from the links below. If you're looking for an alternative, this Tamron 20-200 is a very good option. It has a very massive range, but with variable aperture that starts from f2.8 to f5.6. It's also sharp, very good for outdoors, but sometimes suffers indoors on a fixed ISO. I honestly prefer the wide end of the 24-105 at 24mm compared to the 28mm. This is very subjective though, but this is how it looks like between the two. That extra 4mm is wide enough to fill the frame. Here's another example. But of course, Tamron can go up to 200mm versus 105 at the long end. So basically up to you to decide. You really can't go wrong between the two. There is also this new lens from Sigma, the 28-105mm f2.8, but man, that is heavy and pricey. Sony on the other hand also have their old 24-240mm f3.5 to 6.3, but report says it isn't optically sharp. Another good all-rounder is the 35-150 f2 to 2.8 lenses by Tamron and Samyang, but both over 1 kg in weight. For now I'm sticking with the 24-105mm f4, and my experiences have been very great. I also found that its OSS plus the built-in steady shot in my Sony a7 III helps a lot with stable handheld video recording. Hey, that's it guys. Thank you for staying this far. If you find this very helpful in your decision, or even if you just enjoyed watching, please don't forget to like and leave a comment below. Please subscribe too to support this channel. Appreciate you. Cheers.